Welcome to the Amputate to Elevate podcast, where leaders tell the truth about what they've had to let go of in order to rise. My name's John Register, and in this show, it's existing for leaders navigating high stakes transitions who know that growth is not about adding more, it's about releasing what no longer serves them. So today's episode is a special recap. Over the past year, we've had the powerful conversations with executives, CEOs, founders, and senior leaders who answered one defining question. What did you have to amputate in order to elevate to your success? What you're about to hear is a collection of insights, some honesty, and some vulnerability from the remarkable leaders that we had the chance to interview. These are not highlight reels. These are moments of clarity, decisions that matter, choices that created space for growth. This episode is designed to help you reflect as you close out this year, not to pile more on your plate, but to invite release, to invite focus and intention as you step into what's next. So take a breath, lean in, and listen for insight that meets you exactly where you are. We'll begin right after this show intro. Look, I told you all, I got Cassandra Worthy. Am I worthy? Am I worthy to have Cassandra Worthy right here on Amputate to Elevate Success? Top 50 global leadership speaker. Come on now. Thank you so much for being on this show.
It is an honor. It is a pleasure. And can I believe that I am with the one and only John Register? Let's go. This is an honor. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, my friend. Hey, always start the show off with the first question is, you've been successful. You've done some shifts. You've done some pivots. What is one thing that you had to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
It is such a good question. And if I think about the one amputation that I have done in my journey that has elevated me to embrace and understand my purpose of being in this vessel and having this life experience, it is the amputation of my actively living in my alcoholism. Actively living in my alcoholism. Once I embraced my alcoholism and decided to amputate being in it every day, thinking about what I'm drinking next, who I'm drinking with, what time do I need to recover. Once I embraced that, let go of it, I was able to elevate the light that we all have, this tap that we have to our divinity and this wisdom, divine inspiration, and allow that to shine and elevate fully. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And today I still believe that the nature of my alcoholism is a gift. It's one of my superpowers. Because all that energy and that focus that I put into drinking and the drugging and all that turned out to free up my brain and my mind and my light in a way such that I could go off and build a business while still leading innovation in corporate America. And then recognizing this is the thing I'm meant to do in this world. And then completely shift focus and, do what I do today.
Denise Hamilton is in the building, y'all. What is up?
Hey, friend. How are you?
It is so good to see you.
It is so
y'all don't know.
For those here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. For y'all that just don't know, Denise is one of my ace boon coons. She is an amazing leader, amazing woman. We oftentimes, when I get down to her spot, her and her husband and I get a chance to just hang out, go get some Mexican food, just chill and just relax and just talk shop and just friendship. And I love that. So it's, and then in the professional speakers world, it's hard to find those individuals that you can just let everything out with. And Denise is one of those individuals. So I just want to give you your flowers because you're so amazing. So absolutely. So let's just jump on in. You've been very successful and you continue to evolve and transition and transform. What did you have to amputate in order to elevate for your success?
I think that there is a story or an idea that people have about what you are capable of. You know, if you came from a single parent household, you got all these stats. If you, are black, you're the women. Like, I think there's all of these stories and limitations about what is possible and what isn't possible that you have to literally strangle in the crib. You have to have the courage to cut those stories off and put them out of your psyche and allow whatever your uniqueness, your giftedness allows you to do to happen. And I say it like it's easy. It's really, really, really hard, right? I think that people struggle with it every single day. Our stories tell us who we are, right? They tell us who's the good guy, who's going to live happily ever after. Like, our stories shape us. And so when you have the courage to cut off a story that no longer serves you, I think that's when you really get to be unstoppable.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another special episode of Amputate to Elevate, the Success Podcast. We're talking to executive CEOs that really have something that they share to help us move forward. Today, I am with the amazing Dorsey Houts. He has been the CEO, the founder, the grand poobah of Avail Technologies. And I've been out here as a keynote speaker for them in Salt Lake City, Utah. Just found this company fascinating. And so welcome to the show.
Thank you, John. It's nice to be here.
Absolutely. I appreciate it. So we always ask this first question. You've been successful, but what have you had to amputate in order to elevate to that success?
You know, that's a very interesting question, and you posed that earlier to the audience, and I thought it was a great question, and it really got people thinking, and I reflected back when you asked it myself. And what I've really had to amputate is my ego. And to me, amputating my ego gave me freedom, because people too often get held back by their ego. They're always too concerned about what others might think, or that they might fail, or they have to do it themselves. And to me, every time you think that way, all you're creating is obstacles to advance and achieve better things and really advance yourself personally in life. So for me, amputation of my ego opened my future and gave me the freedom to really understand that I could try different things, and I didn't have to worry about it, whether it was me doing it.
Right.
I accomplished much more with my team than I do as an individual, and you can't lead a team if you're hiding behind your ego.
All right, everybody. I told you I have the man, the myth, the legend right here. I'm at the Athletic Business offices here in Madison, Wisconsin. Came in specialized because I just had to. We're going to have a great time. Andy Berg, ladies and gentlemen, he is the executive editor for the Athletic Business magazine. So thank you for taking a few moments out of your day.
Absolutely.
Really excited to come and speak to you all.
We're happy to have you.
What this show is all about, executives and how you think, how you can offer advice for other executives, like in your situation and your sphere of influence, and how you might be able to elevate them. So the first question out of the gate is always, Andy, what did you have to amputate in order to elevate to your success that you have right now?
Sure. So I started as an associate editor in a different industry altogether, and I think as I kind of worked my way up and started managing more people, that was a big switch for me once I started leading a publication. And I think at first I thought, well, I need to lead, I need to make all the decisions, like this has to be. And I think the more that I realized, but I love my team because they're intelligent, they know what's happening, that what I really needed to do was respect that team and realize that I didn't need to make the decisions. All I needed to do was to put people in the position where we could all make the right decision together. Because ultimately, when we have 3 or 4 people on our editorial team for a publication that does 9 issues a year,
wow,
there's decisions that need to be made every single day. And if I don't have the help of my team, if I don't empower them, the product is less.
So would you say that you would have to amputate, thinking that you had to do it all?
Yeah, I think.
Simi, what's up? I'm so glad that you are on. Thank you for being here.
For having me. I'm so excited for our conversation today.
Absolutely. So my first question for you, you've done a lot of stuff in your life. We'll get into that. But what have you had to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
To mind is having to amputate a prestigious career or prestige in what some of the world would define as a successful career. I had to amputate that and define career and success on my own terms. So I think that would be what I've had to amputate most to get to where I am.
So you're saying amputate prestige? Help me out. Help me understand that a little bit more.
Yeah, or maybe another way of saying it is I've had to amputate the world's idea of what success is and define success for myself. So I say prestige because I come from a very illustrious corporate background. I worked biggest companies and well-known companies in the world and had a great 10+ years, doing it with the best of the best as a marketeer in the sports industry. And I had an awesome business card that could get me anywhere I wanted to get to. And I had to kind of amputate the idea of, just living someone else's dream and being part of someone else's big corporate machine, which was awesome. And I learned a lot from, but kind of defining success on my own terms and being brave enough to blaze a trail on my own terms, even though the prestige of that big company doesn't come with that all the time.
All right, welcome everybody. Look, I got the man, the myth. Brandon, thank you so much for being on today. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you.
Thank you, JR. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So here's the thing. We always start this podcast off by asking one simple question, and it takes us down a road, a myriad of discovery. So what is the one thing that you've had to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
So I've been thinking about this question, and I can answer it. We can go into really deep ones and stuff that's on brand and on my book. But the one thing I decided today is I'm going to amputate my smartphone. It's going.
Smartphone's not making us smart.
It's not making me smart. No, I mean, I think, and that sounds kind of pithy, but I think it's something that's very meaningful for me right now is that I did buy just a flip phone. I'm charging it right now. And I just wonder, why am I so on call for everyone else? And then why am I in this dopamine cycle of some really wealthy people in Silicon Valley? And they're on their yachts and they're like, oh, he'll click again. You know what I mean? What the hell am I doing with my life? So that's where I'm at this morning. But I can go and amplify it larger if you'd like.
Well, no, I would love to understand that because I think people are just freaking out. You have a flip phone now? What are we back in the 80s? What's happening? What was the catalyst for you just saying that? I know you said that it was around I'm just too accessible, and I love that you've done that. So I would love to hear more. Yes.
I carry this message of conscious wealth, this idea that wealth is more than money. And there are 4 pillars to it. There's our financial wealth, which everyone knows and they measure, and there's tons that's being spoke of it. But there's 3 other pillars that we speak of, including your physical health, your mindset, and your connections. And when I look at my phone in regards to that, it's disrupting my physical health. It's disrupting my sleep patterns. I see that now. And it's like, well, how important is sleep? Well, how important is my memory? How important is my ability to wake up in the morning and feel rested, right? And so a big part of my health is being deteriorated by by my relationship with this one device. And so there's that. And then there's also connection, which is really important. Like, what is wealth without connection included? Our family, our friends, the people we know. And there's a real drive as human beings to have connection. But I think maybe I'm fulfilling it too much with a like here or a thumbs up there. I got to get myself out of the house more and just like actually talk to human beings in real life. Or even this, I'm okay with, because we're still talking. We may not be in person. I prefer to be in person, but this is still a step up from being a voyeur to somebody else's life. So all of this fits within this definition of a fuller, expanded version of wealth for me.
Cy Wigman, got her on the show. Cy Wigman.
I love it. John, you need to send me that intro so I can listen to it every day to get like hyped up.
We got to do the hype.
I love it.
I am so excited to speak with you today. I mean, when I saw you get your certified, your CPAE, your Hall of Fame back, I guess in Denver about a year ago.
Yeah.
I was just so excited for you. I didn't really know you, but I'm like, who is this person? I just love her energy. And yeah, it was such a fantastic night. So thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you. It's so great to share that night together. You were on stage as well, being inducted to the Hall of Fame. And yeah, I think it was the start of something special. We didn't know much about each other, but the minute I jumped into your work, I was like, we are kindred spirits.
Absolutely. So our first question, Cy, is, what have you had to amputate in order to elevate to all the success that we just talked about in that opening?
It's such a great question. And as I'm hearing that, I'm so excited that you're focusing on what to take away, because so many times when people are moving into leadership positions or they want to up their game, they start accumulating more knowledge, more mastery, more, and they get fancy and clever before they've even standardized. They want to optimize. And so I see people collecting workshops and books and in seminars. And I think a much better question is, what do we have to cull? What do we have to curate? What do we have to empty ourselves of in order to be able to move into that next stage? So I have a list, but I will start. You can go on as long as you want. One of the first things for me I had to really learn is that leaders don't manage people. They manage the energy of people. And a lot of us think we're going to manage the work, but systems and processes, and if you're smart, standardization manages the actual work of people. And so what I had to really focus on and get rid of so that I could bring my energy and my team's energy to impact is I first had to amputate my tendency to argue with reality. So whenever something happens, as a human being, we name it and we're like, that stinks, that will ruin everything, that is a barrier, and once we name it, we participate in our own victimhood, that it's the circumstances and eventually the excuse. And so I really had to stop and get rid of my preference for naming things to the negative. And I just use the word unpreferred reality. So if I have a disruption, I'm like, unpreferred reality. I had to clean up my language. And then my temptation is to argue with reality. That's sick and wrong. That's not how it's supposed to be happening. This is ridiculous. And it's an argument I will lose like 100% of the time. So I had to really give that up and just radically accept my reality, which to many people seems passive. It's actually a super active way to move through the world. And I had to say, given this unpreferred reality, how could I? So I could manage energy away from why we can't to how we could. And that was one of the biggest things. I had to really get rid of my story and my argument with reality and see things clearly, and then just call people to greatness, love them up and call them up.
In studio with us right now, Colette Carlson. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence.
My privilege and pleasure, John.
Wow. I'm going to start in because if I don't, I'm going to go down a whole different path right now, just because you are in this space right now. Colette, you've had lots of success, as you heard in the introduction, as we let our audience members know. What is one thing that you had to amputate in order to elevate to that success?
Still on the journey, John, but I've come a long way, and it's a dueling combo of a need for approval, the whole perfectionism, combined with my need to be in control. Mm-hmm. Those two elements have really, really slowed me down earlier in my life.
When need for approval, let's kind of take off on that path. Mm-hmm. Need for approval can really, as you said, slow us down. When you're looking at executives that are in leadership or new leadership positions, how do you get them out of that need to be right, or need to be seen, or have that approval from their team members or their board of directors that might be governing them?
Yeah, and let me spin it a little bit. For me, that need for approval meant that I had the disease to please. I wanted everybody to like me. And so even though I didn't speak my truth, in other words, I wasn't good at holding people accountable, because then they may not like me. I wasn't talented enough to lean into those challenging conversations that you need to have as a leader. And so I got to the point where I realized that I was a big fat liar, because anytime that our thoughts, our words, and our behaviors are out of alignment, we're not speaking our truth. And so then I kind of went on a mission of healing to help me learn to speak my truth, not my mind, big difference, in order to not require somebody liking me, and instead doing the job that I was set up to do. And as we know, once you cross that barrier of learning and healing, people end up respecting you. And so you get everything that you really looked for, and life is so much easier, and you're helping them as a leader grow, because your goal is to guide. You can't guide if you're not being real with people. So I had to let go of this ideal of what I thought people needed me to be, and instead be real.
Masami, arigato gozaimasu. How are you today?
Hi, John. Great to see you.
It's good.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, of course. I'm so glad that you said yes to come on. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you. And the first question we always ask each guest, is what did you have to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
Great question. Judgment, I would say.
Judgment. What was going on? What's the story behind judgment? Why would you come up with that?
Well, I grew up in Japan, and I was very introverted. So instead of talking about things, I always wondered what was happening in the world, right? And I feel that in my earlier development, I was always like questioning, but also perhaps judging, right, inside of me, like, why is it like this? Why are we buying so much and trying to get more, and whilst feeling like somewhat empty? Or why is businesses doing this and creating problems in the world? Or and I also judged myself a lot, like if I said this or if I said that, I might upset somebody, or am I different from other kids? And so I always felt that I didn't fit in the world or around in the places around me. And that was because I was judging myself, but I was also judging things, what I saw, and always feeling that we were all different. So that seeing things as different and separate because we judge, were taking me away from experiencing the world in the most joyful and meaningful way. So that's why I'd say judgment.
I love that. Hey, Paul, thank you so much for showing up today. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you.
John, what a pleasure it is to be here. I'm jazzed for it, man. Let's do this.
Absolutely. So the first question I always ask my guests, the executives that are on the show that grace us with their presence, is what have you had to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
Yeah, that's an incredible question, because so much of leadership is what you leave behind so that you can do something better. You know this as an athlete. I know this from a lot of the work that I've done. I have a teenager that's about to go off to college who's learning right now, like what he can leave behind and what he can take and in those senior years of high school. But in leadership in general, for me, and what I had to leave behind was the idea that I knew it all. I that sounds silly, but I think that a lot of leaders get into an idea that they have to be the best in the room. They have to be the smartest in the room. They have to be the expert in the room. What I've learned in every area that I've been in, I've never been the most educated person that's been on staff. That could be in any service that I've been, whether that be the work that I do with disability in Texas, the arts and education, the trauma-informed care at the parenting center, or even at Didlake. I am not an expert in disability services. I'm not an expert in arts and education. I'm not an expert in trauma-informed care. Now, I'm informed in all of those. I'm educated in all those, but that came after the fact. What I am is able to remind myself over and over, it's okay. Like, you know, this imposter syndrome that sets in sometimes, right? Like, oh, I'm not the smartest. I'm not the best. I'm not the brightest. I'm not the most educated. I don't have all these letters like you do after your last name, right? Like, I don't have all these things. But what I had to get rid of was the idea that I had to be the best, and instead rely on folks that were actually the best. And that's all I've had. I've had the best staff, the best volunteers, the best folks that have wanted to live into the mission. And my job is just to put them in the best places so that they can do the great work that they want to do and that they're great at.
What is going on, Jill? How are you? Good morning to you.
So great to see you, my friend. And I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited for today. So thank you for having me. And what a fabulous intro. Wow.
Oh, yeah. I love doing those. I had a communications background, so I just try to put that in and run a show. Everybody wants to be like a Netflix these days. So that's me too. So let's just jump right in. I know we got about half an hour. So at the top of the show, I'm always asking the guest, what is that you've had to amputate in order to elevate to get to your success? So I know you have the bravery effect that's going on, the new book that's launched. So whatever's coming to your mind right now, I'm asking you that question. What did you have to amputate?
What comes to mind? Yeah, I'm so glad you asked that, because I had this aha moment yesterday. Yeah. I was actually in a little mastermind with a friend and mentor of mine, John Gordon. And as we were all talking, like, he said something and it just hit me like a bomb. Like, just, it was, and he was saying, you know, sometimes you have to let go of good to become great. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what I've had to amputate, to elevate, is I had a really good, career. Everything was going well. I was earning good income. I had great clients. So I was doing really good work. But if you want to hit the next level, and if you want to become great, and I had this desire that I wanted to do research, I wanted to write a book, I wanted to be speaking on the big stage like John Register. If I wanted to get there, I had to let go of some of the things I was doing in the past. So I think it's such a great, what John said, like, stuck with me, is don't let good, get in the way of great. And that is really what I've had to do over the last, couple of years here, is to let go of a lot of the very good, very fulfilling, good work that I was doing. But I had to let that go in order to do the work that I'm doing now on bravery.
Florian, welcome. Thank you so much. I know you're all the way across the pond. It's all night over there in Germany, but I appreciate you being on, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thank you for this beautiful introduction.
Absolutely. So always starting the show. Well, I want to back up, because I usually start with the one question. I want to start just to kind of how we got to know one another at the National Speakers Association and on the elevator. So you're going on. I saw you had your beautiful award, the Certified Speaking Professional. Congratulations on that profound award. Absolutely.
Thank you.
So my first question for you today is, what did you have to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
I thought about that, and in the beginning, I didn't find anything until it struck. And I'm a chemist, as you introduced me, and I'm very organized, I'm very structured, very analytical, and I'm German, so super perfectionist. And after I finished my PhD in chemistry, I became a magician like 16 years ago, and I did shows, and I turned into a mentalist, and I was very structured. And I had scripts for all my shows and stuff like that. And I was a perfectionist. And it helped me in the beginning to get good to okay shows. And at some point, I felt that this perfectionism was limiting me. And I started to meditate, to get to be more fluent, to be more in the flow and less structured. And once I did that, actually magic happened, because I wasn't afraid of doing mistakes on stage anymore. And I was completely authentic. I was in the zone. I was in my flow state. And once I lost this perfectionism, because I would be so tense before my shows, before my talks, and I would have a almost negative energy. And if things wouldn't work the way I wanted them to work, I was tense, and it wasn't a good show. So once I lost this perfectionism, and I became in the zone. Oh no, how can I say that? Once I was completely flowing, the things turned out to be perfect. And I was having much more fun, and the results and the feedback from the audience was much better.
Brandon, what is going on? How are you doing, my friend? It is so great to see you.
Mr. JR, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, and thank you so much for lending your voice to our community today. So thank you. I really do appreciate it. And with that, we're going to get off on our first question right now. I always start the question the same way. What have you had to amputate in order to elevate to your success?
Gosh, thank you for that question, and thank you for letting me be on here. And that intro was pretty rad, man. Grit, grace, and greatness. The triple G. That's pretty good, man. Thank you for that. Obviously, I knew that was the question coming in, and your podcast is named after that. And I thought about this, and one of the things that I feel like a great leader has to leave behind is ego. Mm-hmm. When you allow ego to kind of dominate the way you behave, and you create kind of a me culture, I think that can be toxic, and I think that can be it's not collaborative. And I'm just somebody who loves working with others. I love seeing other people find their success and find their own voice. I'm a subscriber of all that Stephen Covey stuff, and the extra book is the 8th habit. So everybody knows the 7 habits, but the 8th habit is finding your voice and helping others find theirs. And so when I think about collaboration, I think you have to sometimes leave that ego aside, because maybe your idea isn't always the best one, or maybe the pathway forward isn't the one that you thought of, but rather the one they thought of. When I was managing at Chase Bank, we talked a lot about self-discovery. And sometimes when you move into a self-discovery session with somebody and you're like, I know you really need to get to this place, but your idea of how you get there might be different than my idea how you get there. And sometimes as a leader, you have to allow people that opportunity to fail forward and explore different ways. And I think that ego is something that I think about a lot in terms of how I lead.
What an incredible way to pause and reflect. To each of the leaders who shared so openly, thank you for your courage, for your clarity and your willingness to lead. with that truth. Your stories matter, and they elevate all of us. To our listeners, thank you for being part of this community and for this entire year. Now, whether you're closing out a full year or a hard season or just standing at the edge of a new beginning, we are honored to walk alongside you. And I want to know which one of these resonated with you the most as you begin to go into 2026. Shoot me a message back. Let's continue the conversation. Let's continue the dialogue. And from all of us here at Amputate to Elevate, we wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a strong, grounded start to the new year. And this is just the beginning. We have incredible lineup of guests already confirmed for 2026. Leaders who are already ready to challenge you, challenge our thinking, share wisdom, and help us all navigate to what comes next with confidence and clarity. So until next time, remember this: go forth, inspire your world. See you in the new year. Bye for now.